Hi everyone, I'm Mudita,
Miles.
and we're going to talk about what design we chose for the Ooey-Gooey remake and support it with why it's the best one. So in our slideshow, I'm going to talk about what Ooey-Gooey is. I'm just going to go over that. I'm going to go over what we chose and the requirements: portability, stackability, artistic considerations, economic unit savings. And I'm going to hand it over to Miles, and he's going to talk about customer appeal, the overall result, conclusion, and thank you. Oh, sorry. So just as a short recap, Ooey-Gooey is a project where the sixth graders talk about different box designs and which one is the best so that they can make an argument on that design. So now for the most important part, what box me and Miles chose. So part one was figuring out which box works best is a key thing in this project. We needed to figure out how to make a good design and so that it'll appeal to the customers. After we chose the general design, we had to figure out why we chose this design anyway. So we chose this box for various amount of reasons. One, because it has minimal surface area, and not only does that make it cheaper, but it also makes it better for the environment. It also has enough space for creative freedom, and it's super portable. And this is a photo of the design that we chose before it got packaged.
We have the multicolored birthday cake flavor.
Yes. So one of the requirements was portability, and I'm going to talk about that now. On this slide, you can see we have different photos of each of the designs. So this is the 4x3x1 as number one. Number two is the 12x1x1. Number three is the 2x6x1. And the number four is the one we chose, the 2x3x2. So I'm going to start with number one. With the first design, the box can slide anywhere, but if you turn it the other way, it's too wide and can't fit in most pockets, which is a problem when you want to have a snack on the go. With design number two, there are many problems that relate to portability for this. It's because it's too long and skinny, which will cause the paper to weather and rip over the sides over time. Number three also has a problem of height. Even though it's shorter than number two, it's still a little long for your pocket, and the paper will also start to weather. Number four, which is the one that we chose, all of these problems are non-existent in our design because it is short and wide enough to provide a place for a design, and because it is too chocolates wide, the paper will not weather. Stackability is also another requirement that we had to take into consideration when choosing our design. So the first one was good for stackability. Sorry, it was not good for stackability because it was too tall and skinny because it was only one block wide. Therefore, if it was on a shelf, all of them would come crashing down and fall down. The second one has good stackability, but it will still fall down, making it not a good choice. The third one is the most stackable and able to hold a lot in the box. Sorry, I'm messing up right now.
What we mean by box is like, where the Skittles and Milky Ways, that type of box at the front.
And number four is the one that we chose, has good stackability and can hold a lot on the shelf, like Miles just talked about. Another requirement was artistic consideration. For artistic consideration, you had to think about the shape and how that affects a space for a design on the packaging. So for the shape, number one was too skinny, and you could use more dimension, and it was a boring shape, which would not pull customers' eyes and make them want to buy Ooey-Gooey. So number two was a classic candy bar shape, but it was a little too long, which means that you might have a problem making the design that you want fit. Number 3 is still basic and boring, but it's a little more functional. And number 4 is the most interesting because it's the only one that has 2 cubes depth, and it is nice and small, which customers will relate to portability and think that they can take it on the go. But the next part of artistic consideration is space for the design. Number 1, you cannot do much of a cover like I talked about in shape, just because it's too tall and it's only 1 block depth. Number 2 has adequate space for design, but you might have trouble covering that much space. Number 3, you won't be able to do any fun designs on the side, which I think is also another big part of fun packaging. And number 4 has enough space to make as many designs as you want, and has enough space on each side, except for the horizontal sides, which you can relate to the vertical sides. The last slide I'm going to talk about are the economic unit savings. When you're running a company, this is very important to talk about because it'll help you run a sustainable company, because if your product is too cheap or expensive to produce, your company won't do well. So for number 1, it was 50 square units, and this is all surface area. It was 50 square units surface area, so this will be the most expensive, and it won't be that sustainable for the environment or for the company. So for number 2 was 40 square units. It was better than option 1, but still one of our more expensive designs. Option 3 was 38 square units, which is cheap, but it does not check all the other requirements such as portability, stackability, and artistic consideration. And number 4 is 32 square units. It was the cheapest and most sustainable for the environment. And as an additional point, which is very important to make sure, advertising. Since this is the only design that has 2 blocks depth, it can trick customers into thinking that it has more, even though it's the same. This way, you can make more money and profit off of something that is very cheap to produce. Now I'm going to hand it over to Miles.
Okay, so number 1 for customer appeal. Taking into account of all the Taking into account all the observations here, what would happen if they were in the store? Overall, this is number 1. So overall, people wouldn't buy. So 3 out of 10. The reason people wouldn't buy this is because it's tall and skinny and maybe not so much appealing. Customer appeal, number 2. Take into account, overall, people would buy, so 5 out of 10. People would buy this one because it's somewhat in a candy bar shape and easily portable, but is also still bulky at the same time. Number 3, overall, people would purchase frequently, so 8 out of 10. And this one is like your, what? This is like your typical candy bar. So, like your Hershey bars. Basically that, and a lot of people buy those since, number 3 would sell a lot. And number 4, people sell it out because it's portable. Seems like there's a lot of chocolate, and the company is able to hold a lot on the shelf in a single box. So 10 out of 10. Overall, we had some good designs and some bad designs. In our opinion, the worst design was the first one because the stackability wasn't good. The second one had the same problem but worked better. So they left the third and fourth one. It was a hard decision between those two because they were both good designs, but we went the fourth one because it had good qualities of all the requirements. Result. As a result of all these observations, we chose design number 4 because it beat out all of the other designs. Conclusion. In conclusion, we picked design number 4 because it checked all the requirements and was good for the environment and is easy to advertise. Thank you so much.
All right, very thorough. Hey, give him a hand, please. Very thorough. Excellent job covering all your bases there. Allison and Sam, if we get the mics. Okay, Aline and Lauren, and then also left is Matthew Claire.
Thank
Madison,
you.
and
Do you
Joe.
want to take this one? That's what was hitting me.
All right, Joe and Madison. And then Sam and Allison.
We're gonna see. We have all the requirements. This is the speech.
All right, Madison and Joe. You come
This
on
is
up.
pretty boring. Oh, it's not. It's not a link. It's not a link. I thought it was Aline and Lauren.
I was calling out all the people who haven't done it.
Oh, okay.
And they raised their hand.
Go on.
Of the three remaining after this, who wants to go after that? Okay, Matthew, then Lauren, Aline, and then. They raised.
Those could have stayed on my desk. I don't need those. I put them on the slides.
Oh, you don't get them.
But
No,
for the sake, just give them. You can.
I can read them, I guess.
Well, you can
then
say it like
Lauren,
this. So like
Aline,
this.
Yeah.
Oh, share it.
then Applebee's 20.
Wait. Okay.
Of course, don't go yet. Not going yet. What's that? You look on the lost account page. And you lifted everything up.
It's not centered.